Is it time to reveal your real magic and become seen, known, and valued? Great, we are live. So welcome, everyone. I'm so glad to be here with the wonderful Kate Wolf. We're talking about embracing the magic of story to grow your business. So I hope you're having a great week. If you're watching, just type in hi, replay, let us know where you're calling from. And, today we're going to be going deep into why stories are so magical for your visibility. And I'm really happy to be introducing you to Kate. And I just share a little bit about my experience with story, and what I've learned from Kate over the years is just how, when I started using stories and how I share my messaging, how it really connected with people. It really touched people's hearts. So yeah, hi Diana, hi Helen Ann, lovely to have you here. But stories just take us on that journey, and often it's a transformation journey. So if you're here, if you're a transformation leader and you're kind of not sure, how do I share the depths of what I do? Stories, lean into this content as well. So welcome, Kate. Lovely to have you here with us.
Lovely to be here.
And Kate is like, multi-passionate. When I talk about Kate's journey, and she'll tell us a little bit more, but Kate has been a clown, a playwright, a theatre director. She's done all kinds of creative writing. She's been a yoga teacher, definitely a natural storyteller, as well as a transformational coach, and now runs Spirited Business, which I love that name of, and runs Mesmerize and Story School. So much. It's incredible, Kate, the way you brought all your passions together into your work now. It's like, oh, you would never believe that it's possible to do all of that.
I didn't. Well, a part of me did. A big enough part of me suspected it might be.
So tell us a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you are, just briefly, and then we're going to be diving into the content for today.
Sure. Yeah, I love that. So for a long time, I walked this seemingly dual path. So kind of by day, I was working as a yoga teacher and an energy healer, and I was really diving into the world of healing, the world of energy, attending every workshop, retreat I could find, going to every kind of healer I could find, tarot card readers and psychics and rebirthers and theta healers and like pretty much you name it. I've tried it, and you're sort of nodding in resonance through that.
I know the journey.
Yes, and I imagine there'll be many here who also have been on or are on that journey. And then by night, I was a theatre maker, and I was writing plays, I was performing plays. I had this kind of mad part of my life where I was performing interactive, immersive theatre in like underground clubs and getting paid in drinks tokens. It was very day and night. And I co-founded a theatre company called Cobblers, and it was specifically for children with additional needs. And we collaborated with the National Autistic Society and MenCap and local charities where I was living at the time, and just did beautiful transformational work. I wouldn't have known the word, to use at the time, but with both children and adults with special needs. And we even had one speech and language therapist come and watch our day-long theatre workshop and say, and bearing in mind this is a speech and language therapist, she said, I have never seen such developmental leaps in one day.
Wow. Yeah. I get all the chills when you talk about this. It's such beautiful work.
Yeah, and that really, hit home and did something to me. And I realized that in all of this world of energy and transformation, where I was kind of seeking like the most transformational thing, I'd kind of already found it. For me, right, my medicine of self-expression and play Yeah, and the freedom to be who you are, because when you're given that much freedom, you want to speak. And when you
Yes.
want to speak, you find your way. And when you
Mm.
have people around you who are willing to listen in different ways, oh, I've got all the chills now.
Yes.
you get to communicate
Yeah.
and you get to be heard, and that love of kind of alternative ways of communicating
Yeah.
has never left me.
Mm.
And so when I entered the world of business, I got very, very, very frustrated when I would go to all of these business building and marketing trainings, and I'd essentially be given a template, right, that would say something like, I help Gap do Gap without Gap. And I'd be there like, I know how to form sentences. Like, forming sentences is not the problem. The problem is not yet seeing what was on the end of my nose and what to put in those gaps.
Mm.
And so, kind of fueled by that frustration, I started my own exploration. And I started deliberately finding ways in to my inner world and what I really had to say and what my work was really about in this world. And as you know, because you're now training in the methodology that I created all those years ago, which is the Wild Voice way,
Yes.
it worked, right? It worked. I started showing up online and on stages and speaking in that true, unfiltered, full expression way, and people responded.
Yeah.
They wanted to know more, they wanted to get closer, they wanted to come and have conversations, which of course are opportunities to invite people to then come and work with you,
Yes.
right? And pay you, which is
Yes.
absolutely essential to find graceful ways to do if you're in business.
Yes. And I love how you span all of these different steps in business and what you offer. And I just want to underline a few things you said there, that when people learn this way of expressing, they want to speak. They want to speak because I know so many people in my community, they love the deep work that they're doing, but showing up in marketing, it just doesn't feel like a fit. So it's kind of like,
Right.
I don't really want to speak in that way, but I feel like I have to. So
Yeah.
so first of all, there's a way of accessing the stories and the voice that people want to speak, and then the other side of it is that people want to listen. When you speak from that
Yes,
place, people want to listen
exactly.
and they want to
Exactly.
come into your world. So beautiful.
Yeah. Not everyone, right?
Yeah.
Let's be clear. Not everyone, which is a good thing,
Yes.
because those for whom you're not for would waste your time anyway, right? If you were to speak with them on a sales call, or say they did end up in a program with you, you would end up over delivering, kind of desperately trying to help them get it, right? All because they were never the right fit
Yes.
in the first place. Yeah.
Yes.
Whereas when you're very clear
Yeah.
and you're very unapologetic about who you are and who you're for and who you're not for, then your right fit clients get to lean forward and come into your world and your work.
Beautiful. I love that. You're perfect people.
Yeah.
Call them your right fit clients, your perfect people. But absolutely. And it's so important. And there's an integrity there. I know I sometimes speak to people who, I'd love to work with them, they'd love to work with me, but I'm kind of going, it's not a fit. So, there's no scarcity here. You will find the right person and I will find the right person. So
Exactly.
beautiful. So I would love to, I know we've got a lot to get through today, because you're going to give us so much value in terms of actually really helping people to access the stories that will grow the business as well. So just type in the comments, what are you taking away from this? Where are you already using story or not using story in your business and your work. And Kate, I'd love to invite you to tell us. I know I've been through this process. This is really powerful what you're going to offer us now, really valuable. And it's something that you can come back to again and again. But what are the three crucial why stories that help us to grow our business?
So they are the why story, the why you story, and the why now story, which is a new one, Reenact, which I don't think was part of your round.
I don't think it was.
Story learning.
Yeah.
So new for you as well.
Beautiful.
So the why story is your big why, right? It's bigger than you. It's bigger than your business. It's bigger than marketing. It helps your marketing because when you have linked your work with your vision for our world, right? Your vision for our world equals your why. Then when you have those moments where you feel worried about what someone might think, or you're putting too much energy onto the people that you're not for, it really, really helps you get back on track and back out there. And your why story and sharing it widely means that you attract clients who want to go where you want to take them, which is not the whole story of attracting right fit clients, but it's a vital part that the clients coming into your work, whether it's a retreat or a course, they want to go where you're taking them, because not everyone does. Crazily enough, not everyone wants to go deep.
Yeah.
Who are these people?
Yes.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. Not everyone does, and that's fine. That's their prerogative.
Yeah. And some people,
yeah.
they just want to get on with it. They've got something.
Yeah.
They feel like, oh yeah, I've I just want to create what I already know I want to create now, which is absolutely fine. And it's like, okay, but if I'm offering deep transformation, it's like, well, that's not fit for you right now. It might be later, when you're ready for that leap to the next level. Let's do the deep transformation. In the meantime, go create,
Yeah, exactly. So not only is it powerful for you, it's also powerful for your right fit clients. And it's really attractive to potential collaborators, potential joint venture partners, and people with platforms. And one of the best ways to grow your business is to do it through and with other people, right? You get to make friends and go hang out and talk about things you love while growing your business. I think that's a pretty good deal. And you're more likely to get invited onto those stages, into those spaces, whether it's a podcast interview, Facebook Live like this,
like
or
today,
indeed,
yes,
just like now, or a real stage, maybe at a networking event or a conference or a trade show. You're much more likely to be invited onto those stages, into those spaces, if you're making your work about something bigger than yourself.
Yeah. Because it's on a mission. This is like your mission statement, isn't it? Yeah. Your big why.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember, I think it was 2018, maybe 17. It all kind of becomes a bit of a blur at some point. But I ran my first summit. And it was so fascinating, the kinds of incoming messages I got from people wanting to be on it. And, those that sent me lengthy kind of, and we're talking about stories, and I love stories, right? But this was lengthy, like entire whole life story type posts, did not generate an interest within me to put them on my stage. Whereas people who reached out with a big vision, like what they were up to in the world, able to articulate it clearly and succinctly, deliberately, I could tell, right, linking their work and what they're up to with how it would support my audience.
Yes.
Of course, that's much more appealing.
Yeah.
To someone with a stage.
Yes, I love that. And I know mine one is imagine a world where the visionaries, the sensitives, the transformation leaders have the courage to, you know, step out and be seen and be visible. You know, imagine where we've got more, you know, visionary leaders
Yes.
having an impact in the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I can feel that it really
Yeah.
motivates me.
And,
So beautiful. And just for anyone watching, if you know your why, just post that in the comments. But otherwise, Kate, you're gonna tell us about how to find that.
yeah. So really, it's about it's in a way it's very simple.
Yeah.
It is about getting quiet and listening to your heart and dreaming into that world that you wish we had. Right? What do you just wish was different in our world? One of the exercises I like to do with clients is have them imagine that they have this magical power to almost like a fairy godmother whisper a message into the heart of every newborn baby. Right?
Oof, feeling that.
What would you what and this message is magic, right? And it infuses this baby, and they grow up knowing that to be true. They're a 7-year-old who knows this message to be true. They're a 13-year-old who knows this message. They're a 21-year-old who knows, you know, and then whatever they go on, they're in the workforce. They're
Yes, they've got this
getting married.
embedded,
They're having
like a stick of rock,
yeah,
right
exactly.
through their core. Gorgeous. Yes.
What would you want them to know to be true?
So just feeling into that, whoever is, what would you want to pass on to the world with your magic powers? And seeing Helen Ann in the comments here, she says, I've written a novel involving witches and writing a second one. I want it published to be read by those who would be inspired by witch power. So that's in response to, you know, who she's speaking to. But just, you know, Helen Ann, consider, you know, what's the bigger why? You know, if everybody could be inspired by this witch power, what is it that would happen in the world? Because you know, I definitely feel that would be so powerful, you know, to empower this. Gorgeous.
And finding the words, you know, is so useful. So, you know, asking yourself, and then what?
And then
what would that make different?
Yeah.
And then what? And keep going. Keep going. What would that make different?
Then what? And then what? And then what? So you're kind of mining into all of the things it would give you to really get down to the root.
Yeah. And the world, right? Like what if everyone who was or did have access to those otherworldly powers claimed them and used them and honored them, did not refer to them as woo-woo or, you know, self-diminish or be derogatory towards their own magic. If they claimed it, if they lived it, like what would be different in our medical system? What would be different in our schools? If, I'm getting all the shivers now, you know, if other people understood and honored that way of living, that deep knowing that comes sometimes without knowing how, we know, that lives in rhythm with seasons and the cycles of our world, what else would be different about how we live?
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Feeling that. And I've got Diana here sharing that she did this last night in a solstice ceremony. She whispered in people's hearts, you know, as being Mother Nature. So I was like, oh, yes. So you're already begun the process, Diana. So now you know some next steps to bring it into words as well. Yeah, beautiful. So that's the first why.
Yes, that's the first. The first why is why.
Yeah, why? And what magical change would you like to bring? And then what? And then what? And then what? You know, what would that bring to the world? So, so powerful. Yes. What's next?
And then your why you story, right? Because oftentimes when we get to the pinnacle of the why story, there are actually only a few you know, they're really quite simple. Like, we want a world where we all respect and love our differences. We want a world where we communicate with understanding, and how that leads to peace, right? We want more love, more peace. Ultimately, these are the final destinations to get to. So why you? Like, what about you and your life experiences, also known as stories, make you the absolute, unquestioning, obvious person to be doing what you're doing, to be guiding people on that path towards that vision. And when you know your why me story, in terms of, internal, there's this sense of the sometimes like madcap stepping stones behind you finally making sense.
Yeah.
And as a result, the stepping stones before you appearing much more clearly.
Yes.
Yeah, this was a really beautiful and surprising benefit that I found in teaching story school. I was very much thinking about the benefits of being able to tell a story well in terms of inviting people into your work and marketing. But the healing depths of it were so beautifully and wonderfully surprising. I love that I still get to be surprised.
Yes.
And that was a biggie, right? It was a really big theme. People suddenly feeling, my life makes sense.
Yes, totally. Yeah, I totally relate to that. And I know when I first set up my business, I was like, I want to be, empowering people. I really want people to step into their power. And I'd been a leader and a CEO. And then I kind of got connected to my own stories and my own journey. And I saw that, oh, it's all been about not just empowerment, not just leadership, but visibility. And when I saw that, it was like, oh, it all makes sense now. And in my biggest struggles, in my hugest struggles in my life, my worst fears, and how I'd, learned different, and innovative strategies to overcome them because ordinary ways hadn't worked. It's like, oh, that makes so much sense now. And this is why this is why me. This is why I'm doing this work, because I'd found those story nuggets that made sense of, my life and my work. So it's incredibly powerful. Yeah.
Yes. And that's just the inner power of it, like for yourself.
Yes.
Then again, when you share those stories out there,
yes,
again, your right fit clients can find you.
Yes.
They hear you speaking. They're likely to be in the sort of messy, rocky terrain of what you have already found your way through, which is why it makes sense that you then turn around as a guide, offer your hand, offer your learnings, and that they can take that extended hand and trust you because you've been in your version of what they've been in. And often what happens, this is part of the real magic of stories, is when you're telling your story, even though it is about you, right? You're telling your life story, people's corresponding stories rise up inside them and they read themselves in to what you're sharing.
Yes.
And it creates this beautiful sense of connectedness, getting each other, being got by you, which is so important in order to trust you enough to want to step into a sacred, transformational container.
Yes, absolutely. Is that feeling of really understanding your journey, what you're inviting them into. And I know, my experience with this is it creates so much connection. What I say, visibility is all about connection to yourself, to the greater field of life, and to others. But when it starts with that connection to your own stories, and then people are like, oh, I get it. Beautiful.
Yeah. And in terms of finding your why you story, you look to the opposite of your vision, right? So once you have that kind of clear why leading you forward, you look to those moments in your life that were the opposite of that, right? Where you didn't feel, for example, safe to be who you were, or safe at all. You didn't feel peace. You felt you experienced anger, or frustration or bitterness. All those moments that were the contrast of the vision that is so important to you are those moments that formed you into the being that you are today, who sees what you see, right? You know, I'll just get political very quickly. Like, I don't think anyone should be allowed to be in a position of political power unless they have done about 5 years of therapy and worked for 5 years on the front lines, either in the NHS or in social work or in schools, right? Because they don't know anything about life. If you have lived fully in, right, fully in your life, and you've had hard moments, you've had moments where you've had to, like, you know, ice pick your way back up, out of bed, out into the fray, doing the things that you either have to do or absolutely can't not do, then you are full of valuable lessons and learnings that people who are currently in those difficult situations need.
Beautiful. I love that. So the why you story comes from the struggle, you know, the painful moments, that, oh gosh, why is it so hard times, and also the, you know, the breakthrough moments where you've you know, discovered what it is that you're teaching. So I know for me, it was like the real struggles and turmoil with terrified of being seen, terrified of being visible, being so shy, and frightened as a child, and never wanting to stand in front of people. And then also the moments where I was, you know, heart on my mouth, knees trembling, you know, breaking through that, you know, step by step. Yeah. So beautiful.
Exactly. And that's really important. So it's those two places to look. It's the depths of the difficulties that are the contrast of your vision. And it's also those like pinnacle high life, you know, high moments of your life where you're like, wee, I'm so free, or I'm so joyful, I'm so happy. Like, what are the clues that live in those peak experience moments for you? About what you're for.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I love that. And I know, you know, for me, one of the stories I discovered was, you know, a moment where often involved a poem that was like completely challenging me and also helping me to break through into the next level of visibility, bringing up all that, oh my God, what will people think? And I can't take up that much space. And all of, you know, those breakthrough moments contain both of them. They, you know, on the other side, you get through, but there's like all of that past history and limiting beliefs come up. Gorgeous. That's really, and it's so powerful to go to those depths and those heights to tell your story, because then it gives you credibility that you've broken through, and it also, the vulnerability creates such connection that people know, I get it. I've been there. Beautiful. That's the why and the why you. And now you have another one. Why now?
So, you know, if you think about it, the why is in the future, right? It's where you're wanting to go. Your why you is in the past. It's those moments from your past that formed you into the person that cares so much about what you care about today. When you're telling your story, you need to be in the present. And we're going to talk about how to do that at the end, how to make your stories poetic but punchy. But what's really important, the third why, is your why now story. Because if you're using stories for business, then you have a goal of attracting clients and making money, right? And I know that for some of us, most of us who are in business for much bigger reasons than that, transformational reasons, epic personal growth reasons, sometimes we actually shy away too much from the goals of attracting clients and making money. But if we want to get to do our deep healing work and do more and more of it, then it's absolutely essential we find a way that works for us to make friends, right, with business, with marketing, with sales, with money. So the why now is about creating those feelings in the people that you're speaking to that they need to do this work with you now. Right? Yeah. Because otherwise it's too easy in our busy world to, let's say, right, have a conversation with Rena, get deeply in touch with the truth of how scared you are to be visible, deeply in touch with your desire to be more visible and all the transformation you could create if you were more visible. And then, like, the call ends, off you go, you're back into your normal life. You're thinking, I'm going to think about this, and then it's a week later and you have not thought about that because actually that's kind of scary to think about anyway. Plus you're really busy, and then it's a month, and then you've even lost touch with the truth of how much it matters to you.
Mm-hmm.
I find that so sad that that could happen because us as transformational leaders / business owners / salespeople are so scared of being seen as salesy or pushy that we don't stand as strongly as we could for someone to take the next step, to walk the journey they've just told us is vitally important to their soul.
Yeah.
And I think we need to stop doing that.
Oof, feeling that, yes, this is that, drawing the line in the sand, saying,
yeah,
this is important.
Yeah.
I will hold your vision for you and help you to step over. And especially is they're the the ones, where I have a call with somebody and they're a clear yes, and then they find a reason to back out. The only ones I regret when I get on call with somebody and it's a clear it's not the right fit now, not a problem, but it's like, oh, you can feel that potential. So how can this why now story help with this crucial stepping over the threshold moment?
So these why now stories, to use just basic business language, are about the stories that help overcome objections. So first of all, you're going to need to know what your clients' primary objections are. Now, most people have time and money as objections, but also for most people, they are surface level objections, and there's generally something deeper going on, and it's often fear or self-doubt. So when you know what's really going on kind of under for your clients, then you can tell why now stories that naturally overcome those objections. You can tell, for example, case studies, right, about someone who was so scared that they would, terror, and what they're doing now. Right? You can tell a story about a client who didn't think this was possible for them and what they're doing now. So that just like in the Why You story, people read themselves in.
Yeah.
A part of them starts to think, okay, I can't see how it's possible for me, but maybe it is. I can't see how I could ever not feel this scared, but maybe I could. Right? So it's creating space, possibility through your stories.
Yeah. Oof. I can really feel that. I can feel the energy of possibility. And I can feel this also the energy of empathy. It's like, I get it.
Yeah.
I was there, this person, we're in the same position. It's normal to feel like that. And this is what's possible on the other side as well. So really, it's really holding space for that decision-making
Exactly.
process and how vulnerable it is.
Yeah, it's really vulnerable. It's such a vulnerable place, and it requires strength from you, to hold the other person in that empathic space. Um, and and the phrase overcoming objections, and that's why it's one of the reasons I gave you a bit of a story, right, to prepare you for the fact that I was going to use this phrase overcoming objections, because it's so easy to look at that and go, ugh, yuck, manipulative, icky, old paradigm, old school marketing.
Yeah.
But it's all about the way you do it.
Yeah.
It's all about the way you do it. And if you do it with empathy, with care, creating possibility, being a stand for them, then it's beautiful. And it's a generous gift to be so brave, right? To go against your own fear of being seen as pushy in favor of being a stand for someone's truth.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful. It's so powerful. So powerful. I'm really glad that we've touched into that. So I'd love to check in with our anyone who's here watching us, whether you're live or on the replay. What are you taking away from these three stories? The why, which is your big vision for what's possible in the world, the why you story, which is your journey of the depths of struggle and the pinnacles of excitement and breakthrough, your stories, and the why now, the stories of committing and stepping over that threshold and doing the scary transformation journey, that can really support your people to follow suit, to join in that. So let us know what you're taking away from this. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Kate. So I know with this journey of telling your story and being out there as well, what happens if you're somebody in my community who's got visibility issues going on, which is many of us. I know that was a huge fear for me. If you're not a natural spotlight lover, how do you support people who are in this camp?
Yes, if you're not a natural spotlight lover, well, first of all, what I would say is remember that in itself is a story. Everything's a story. Just cast your mind back over your day so far, right? How many stories have you told yourself about how you look and how you think you should look and what you weigh and what you think you should weigh and what you're doing today and what you'd rather be doing today and who should be, not doing all the things they're doing? Stories, stories, stories. All the time. We are natural story generators. So it's simply a matter of whether you are using that power for good, like Spider-Man, right? Or not. Because with great power comes great responsibility. So if you know there's this natural story generation thing that happens inside a human, make sure you're using it for good. So if one of the stories you're telling yourself is you're not a natural spotlight lover, go a little bit deeper into that story. What are you making it mean to be a spotlight lover? Do you think to be a spotlight lover you have to be a massive extrovert? Do you think that you have had a career in the theatre, right? Or be a writer? Or be the person that at parties everyone's turning and listening to, and you're sort of, that one that is like regaling the room with tales? Because honestly, that person is not always the most interesting. Right? Sometimes they're kind of boring.
Yes.
Because they're just talking on and on and on. And if you're the kind of person that maybe would prefer to hang out in the corner with one other person and have an intimate, deep conversation, What if you brought that self to the spotlight?
Yeah.
Scary,
Mm.
yes, but super interesting
Yeah. I can
because you've been
really,
listening.
yeah, I can really resonate with this because I know for me, one of my journeys of stepping into leadership, which was also a scary step into visibility, was because I believe that that leaders, spotlight lovers, whatever we like to call them, that they were, these extroverted, charismatic, outgoing, take up space people, and I'm like, well, I'm just not that. And
Yeah,
eventually, I discovered um, some of it through researching my grandfather, who was a leader in Ireland, and realizing that he was a tremendous introvert. So I was like, oh, introverts can be leaders too. Highly sensitive people can be leaders
yeah,
too. And so it's finding that way
yeah.
forward as
And some
well.
of the best, right? Some of the
Mm,
best leaders, because they have spent more time listening, they've spent more time paying attention, they've spent more time seeing the different perspectives and connecting them and coming up with their own unique perspectives on things.
yeah,
Some of the best leaders and the best speakers.
absolutely. Yeah. So if you're
Yeah,
not a natural spotlight lover, just embrace who you are and know
yeah,
that actually there isn't one size fits all
no.
in terms of being in the spotlight as well. So yes, I'm just going to read a few comments here as well from the takeaways. Helen, I might create a witch workshop geared to older women. The wisdom of the Cailleach, which is the crone, the Irish word for crone, is much needed in this conflict-ridden time and the suffering natural world. And I'm telling you, Helena, and I did a Heal the Witch Wound workshop back in January. And 70 people sign up for it. Huge, huge, huge response. So definitely it's time for that. Diana, it's a sensitive structure and a very vulnerable teaching I want to give, empowering for women. Yes, going through my fear to be visible, because I do believe this is very important at this time. Absolutely, Diana, this is so important. And we're really standing with you to walk through your fears of being visible so you can
Yeah.
really give that. Yes. Um, yeah. Yes. And for her, she could do the limelight, but it's doing it online. When you can't see or feel them, that's a struggle. Yeah. Hear you.
I would check that you can't feel them
Yeah.
because we're all connected.
Yes.
We're all connected. So I find that when I do a live um, or a webinar, energetically, I can feel
Yes.
the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
Just check in on that.
And even one time a few months ago, I was doing a live and I'm like, I'm not feeling it. Something is wrong. And I checked in the Facebook and there's some glitch. It wasn't streaming. It
Yes.
wasn't streaming into the group. So I
Yeah.
stopped and started again. But I could feel it energetically. I'm
Yeah.
like, something's not
Right.
happening here.
Yeah. There's no one there.
There's no one there. I literally could feel it. So even though
Amazing.
I couldn't see it technically. So yeah, we can feel it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Great. So and I know you talk about, in terms of stories being everywhere in our day. So, how is our business a story?
Mm.
What's the story you're telling, and the story that's being told in
Yeah.
terms of business
Yeah, right. So understanding that
stories?
we're story generators, we're telling stories all the time. There's this really horrifying statistic that I'm gonna make it up a bit, but this is in the ballpark of true. I just can't remember it exactly, but it's something like, say you did an event and 100 people came, and 97% or 97 of them loved it, right, and 3 hated it.
Mhm.
The 3 would go away and tell 10 people each that it was rubbish and that you're an idiot, right? And of the 97% that love it, about 3 of them would go away and maybe tell like 2 people each that it was really great. Because, unfortunately enough, humans love to moan. So if we know this to be true, as much as we probably don't want it to be true, and we're running a business and we know people talk, we need to story proof it.
Mm.
So this is one of the reasons I ask my clients what I call the gulp inducing question. And I never want to ask it. I'm always like, you can do it, Kate, you can It's all right, you're okay. You're safe.
Okay.
You're safe. And I ask them, so I'll set up, research calls or do feedback calls, and I will ask, do you have any complaints?
Oh,
I don't want to hear the answer to that question, right? As a human,
yes.
but as a business owner, I need to hear the answer to that question. Now, the funny thing about humans and how much they love to moan is that if you actually give them an opportunity, they're very, very kind, right? So I've never, ever in 5 years of doing this had anyone actually complain.
Yes.
But people will kindly give suggestions about how I could improve the course or the offer, whatever it is I'm reflecting on. And it's about 50-50 in terms of taking on the advice. Like sometimes I'm like, that is genius and I'm absolutely going to implement that. And other times I'm thinking, no, that's really not on brand for me, or that's not what I do, and it's just what they want and it's not relevant.
Yeah.
But to have given them the space to be heard in their desires is really, really powerful.
Yeah. So this is getting feedback from people, and that's opening ourselves up to the good stories, the not so good stories, the stories that will help us grow. As well. Yeah. And so and really connecting with people and giving them an opportunity to feedback. I love doing feedback calls after events and other stuff.
Understanding your business is a story, right? And there will be stories being told about it. So there's that angle to look at it from, and then making sure that you are in a good way controlling that story by telling your why story and your why you story. Because if you don't tell those stories, if you don't let people in on the bigness of your vision, the vastness of your heart, and everything you've gone through, they don't know. Right? They don't know. Only a very few people are actually psychic. Most of them can't read your mind. And people make assumptions. Like people make assumptions because now I'm a six-figure business owner. People make assumptions that it's always been easy. Like it very much hasn't always been easy, and I've had to go through so many stages of the inner turmoil and the up levels. And so it's important that I continue to tell those stories, not as self-defense, but so that people can't use those stories that they're telling as excuses not to go on that journey themselves.
Yeah.
It's too easy, right? It's too, oh, it's fine for her, oh, she blah, 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 she had it easy.
Yeah.
That story is too easy.
Yeah. So it's keep on letting people know where you came from, what you struggled with. Yeah, I noticed that for me that the more I step into next level visibility, the more I need to keep reminding people. I said, look, when I started, I said, you probably never met anyone that was as bad as I was. I have yet to met anybody that was as shy. And I have to keep reminding people. This might seem like it's easy for me now, but this was like putting my hand up in the group. I was like the last, I was shaking. I was, ready to be vomit just to introduce myself in a group.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
So, and I do need to remind people of that, because otherwise they will say, oh, but it's easy for you. And it's like,
exactly.
It's easier now than it was, there's always new levels, but gosh, compared to where I was, this has been a huge journey, and that means it's possible. That means it's possible. That means yeah, beautiful. Gorgeous. Yes. And Valerie's saying, I'm in the process of exploring why me, why now. Gorgeous.
Great.
Yes. So once we've got all of these gorgeous why stories and why now and why you, where do we use them?
Everywhere. Everywhere. Can I show a slide?
Yeah.
Can I do that?
Yeah, let me just I need to give you options to just make your co-host, and then you should be able to do that.
Excellent.
Okay, go for it.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, I am just going to bring them up. I wasn't planning to do this, but I want to show you because a visual is so handy, isn't it?
Yes.
And
people can always watch back and freeze frame it or screenshot it, whatever.
Exactly. So if you just bear with me for a moment, I promise it will be worth it.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and in the meantime, while we're waiting, so Diana's asking, what do you do with your vision? Do you also put it online? What then happens? And then I keep it to yourself. It's that just inner inspiration. Great. Well, I think that Diane, with the why story and the what then, that's helping you to get down to the core sentence that you will then use. So the what happens then is getting down to, this is why you have this big vision for the world. So, but I'll let Kate talk us through what we've got here.
Yeah, and it's a great segue into this. So, thank you, because once you have your why story and your why you story, no, do not keep them to yourself, right? Do read them yourself. Do plug yourself into them, the energy of them, the kind of fueling energy of your why story, that forward leading energy of your why story, and that this is who I am, right? Power of your why you story. Put them in a booklet, read them every morning, put them over your desk, yes, and share them everywhere. So these are the 4 essential phases that you must be placing some attention in order to be growing your business, right? There's the growing your audience, so making sure that you have people there to talk to, like Reenact has grown this group, right? Every time you do a talk, every time you go networking, your aim is to be growing your aim in part is to be growing your audience. Then you need to be nurturing and growing, like the depth, the connection of those relationships, right? It's unlikely that you would sort of meet someone completely cold and have them sign up to, a 3-month coaching package with you. So there's that sort of getting to know you, like, do I like you? Almost like dating phase, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the phase where you're selling, where you're creating opportunities to invite people to move from people who are sort of interested, watching what you're doing, liking what you're doing, to here's my credit card, I want to work with you. Might be a webinar, might be a challenge, might be a sales call. And then there's the 4th stage, which I think gets less attention than it should in our industry, because it's just not quite as sexy as marketing and sales, but it's actually a very intelligent place to put your focus.
Yeah.
Because when you're
this could be the core of your business. This can be the core. This last piece can be the core of your business. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, the next I'm going to come back to this in terms of stories and how to do it. But just to show you, when you get this working for you, it becomes this beautiful cyclical process where you are, you're out there talking like I'm doing right now, right? Growing your audience through story. Then you're showing up on your, let's say, your personal page or inside your group, in your weekly emails. You're growing your relationships by sharing story there. Then in your webinars or on your challenges, you're using story to aid the conversion rate into working with you. And then when you're working with people, you're using story to land points, be a better teacher, be a better trainer, more memorable, more interesting, and also then to create the kind of loyalty that has your current clients want to be ambassadors, affiliates, invite you onto their stages like Reenact's done right now, right? And round you go again. And it becomes really, cumulative. the effort becomes cumulative. So I'm aware that we are coming up to the top of our hour, so I'll just share like a couple of examples, because so these are the 4 essential places to put some attention in terms of growing your business. And then the columns, like all of these are places, right, where you could be using story. Now, you don't need to be using story in all of these places. That would be overwhelming. But you do need to be doing some things from each column. And when you use storytelling to do them, you'll be doing them really, really well, right? So having story on your About Me page is incredibly effective. I know that a client of mine, Louise Miller, she wrote her story working with me, put it on her About Me page, and immediately got invited to do 2 interviews. One was a summit, and one was a podcast with her very, very favorite podcast host. Right? That is the power of sharing your About Me story, your why me story on your About Me page.
I remember that. I was in that program, that story magic program with Louise. Yes, powerful.
Yes. And Diane, I think it was, that asked about the why story. You can put that on your homepage, right? Imagine landing on a website and the very first thing you see is, what this person is really up to. Like a really succinct, powerful mission statement about what they're up to and why. Be very, very powerful. Obviously using story when you're speaking. Content is not compelling, right? Stories are compelling. So making sure you're using stories among your content. And then in terms of growing your relationships, like using story every time you go live, using story in your social posts or your regular emails. When you're selling, using story on your Work With Me page. Paint a picture of what becomes possible for this person when they step in to work with you. Use stories in webinars and in challenges. And then, of course, use story in your delivery to make your teaching great and to make it much more likely that you'll be generating upsells, cross-sells, referrals, and turning your happy customers into ambassadors and affiliates. And you'll notice I've put testimonials in every single one because they're useful at every stage of that journey. And testimonials are stories, right?
Yes,
a good testimonial. Yeah. A testimonial that says, it was amazing, best day of my life, I feel completely transformed, is useless because it doesn't give you any detail. It doesn't give you any specifics about who that person was when they went in and who they were when they came out.
Yeah.
So I, as a potential customer, can't read myself into it. What is transformational for one person, say at the beginning of their awakening journey, is incredibly different for someone who is a spiritual teacher, right, and has been for 17 years. So if I was to go to a day because someone told me it was transformational, and then it was all about like, did you know that you can feel energy?
Yeah.
I'd be really annoyed.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
You need the details.
So you need the details. You need where they were and where they are now.
Oh, beautiful.
To make
That's so powerful.
Testimonial.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that we have time to invite people deeper into your world.
Yes.
And I know because there's a couple of things. One is happening tomorrow. So anybody who's here in the group and watching this live, we want to tell us a little bit about your Stand Out with Story workshop, because it's going to be going in a more practical way into some of the content that we've just done today.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Thursday evening, 7 p.m. UK, I'm holding a 90-minute interactive workshop. So it's called Stand Out with Story. We're going to cover a lot of the content that I've shared with you today, but we're going to be workshopping it, and I'm going to be hot seating a few of the people there on shaping their
sitting down,
stories.
you'd be writing your story, you'd be getting it out onto the thing and getting really clear on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gorgeous. Yes.
And you've got the link for that, is that right, Winnie?
Yes, yep. I've posted the link for that now. So that's Stand It with Story. That's tomorrow, Thursday, the 23rd of June. 7 p.m. UK. So that is free. It's 19 minutes and it's super valuable. I know I've done certainly a version of that before. We've covered it, but to get it actually down on paper is really valuable. So hop on that if you can. And then you've got another round of story magic coming up.
I do, because obviously there's only so much we can create in 90 minutes.
Yes.
And there's a lot more that we can create in 2 whole weeks. So I'm doing it as a sort of summer school, back to school for us adults event in August. We won't be together all day, it's online, and we'll be workshopping, I'll be training, I'll be coaching, I'll be coaxing your story out of you for a couple of hours a day over the 2 weeks. And at the end, you will have your Why Me story for your About Me page. And you will have your Why story for your homepage. You will have so they are written versions. And then you will also have your spoken version to use in experiences like this one, right? Where you're being asked, so tell us how you got here. Tell us. And I honestly think this is one of the most fear-inducing questions in the world. Like, so tell us, why do you do what you do? So you will have the answer to that question to use in your interviews, which means you'll be much more likely to go and get those interviews. And we'll also be looking at your sort of mini bio, right, to use to be introduced in the interviews, and also to use a version of on your social media bio. So hitting lots of those places where it's necessary to be using story to make sure that you're attracting the right clients.
Wow, it's super valuable. And to come out of this 2-week immersion, you've got your Why story, you've got your Why Me, which is can be your about page. And I know I've used my story in so many presentations, workshops, webinars where I tell my story. Mine includes poetry, so that just lights me up and lights everybody up. And it can be a real, rather than kind of be like, oh, this can be a bit, dead and I have to talk about myself. It can be a real highlight and really activate the listener as well. So it's beautiful. So I posted the link there for Story Magic. It's incredible. A couple of things to mention. There's a special code there, Story Reenac, to get £50 off at the checkout. And there's an early bird that is available until Monday, the 27th of June, which is a super, really, you want to get in for the early bird. It's amazing.
You really want to get in.
It's a great offer. So I've shared that link there for anybody who's thinking of signing up. And thank you so much, Kate. And I know the bit that we didn't get to today, but that you will be doing in the workshop very deeply into in the Story Magic course as well, is how to make your stories poetic and punchy and really emotional, get into the language. So that's one of my most fun favorite parts. And with the workshop tomorrow, there is a replay, isn't it, if people can't attend live? So sign up for tomorrow, obviously today, if you can, and there will be a replay if you can't make it live. So Helen Ann is saying that as well. And check out Story Magic if you would love to have those stories created. And what I discovered from it as well is not just I came out with those stories created, but I knew how to go and write other punchy, powerful stories as well. That they're beautiful skills that you teach, that you break down in a way that's really accessible. And I've done lots of creative writing courses before, and it really, you teach it really well for anyone who doesn't feel like a writer. It's like you will walk them through the steps to be able to do that. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. And so inspiring seeing how you've just taken everything you learn and run with it. Like every time I see a post that you put out on social media, and I can see you still like using and massaging everything that you learn, and um, it's so beautiful to witness. And I know all your community here that are in your group know that the way you share your voice is so powerful, and I see people sort of leaning in towards it.
Absolutely.
So if you want to,
yeah,
have a, yeah.
I've had so many people, that either said I have to, I know why, I need to work with you, after reading my stories, or, signing up, I will fill events from writing a poem or a story from this deep place. It's really powerful. It feels very much in integrity with my way of being visible and connecting with people. So this is very aligned, and it gives you, if I've also had a lot of poetry writing training, which has been also very helpful. But I think for anyone who doesn't feel confident as a writer, you walk them through those skills as well, which is so valuable.
Yeah, it's a skill, right? Storytelling is a skill. Storytelling for business is a very specific skill.
Yeah.
And you will learn that
exactly. And you join those dots for me as well, that of it's like, oh, I can do this in business. Whew.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Kate. It's been absolutely amazing connecting with you today. Just see if there's any more comments. Yeah, let us know what your takeaways are from today. And if you go and write any of those stories, come back here and post them in this thread. We would love to see what you create. So bye for now, and sign up for those links if that's speaking to you.
Bye.